I know that there's a tremendous amount of stress right now around food and health and safety. I also know that one of the most stressful things is when you go to the grocery store and you find that maybe you're limited in the foods that you can buy, or that everyone's kind of going crazy and hoarding certain foods, and you don't really know how to stick to a healthy diet while all of this chaos is going on. We're not going to the store as often, and also we're limited. So what can we do when we're on a stay-at-home order and we're limited to the amounts of times that we can go to the grocery store, and also just looking for ways to get creative in the kitchen with what we already have? I'm going to talk to you today about my top tips to staying healthy during quarantine. Hello and welcome. For those of you who are new, my name is Katie. I'm a dietitian and personal trainer, and I make nutrition and fitness videos to help you feel calm, confident, and connected with your body. In today's topic, we are going to talk about how to stay healthy during quarantine or stay-at-home order, etc., etc. So I'm not going to go into the specifics of anything about, the chaos that is 2020, but if you have been on this planet in 2020, you know that our whole world is going into prepared mode and crisis mode, which can lead a lot of people to hoarding foods, and I'm not here to talk about the details of that. However, I want to do what I can and just help you figure out what you can do within your own kitchen and your own lives to make sure that you stay happy and healthy while you're under a stay-at-home order or quarantine or whatever you want to call it. So my first tip is don't panic. I know this can be way easier said than done, but just try to take a step back before you go into the grocery stores and just take a deep breath, take a sip of water, meditate, whatever you need to do, and don't panic when you go into the store. We can get a little frightened with what we see on the news and what we see in stores with people buying out certain foods and toilet paper for whatever reason, and hoarding certain things, and that can cause people that wouldn't normally hoard things to hoard things also out of fear. And fear perpetuates fear, panic perpetuates panic. And as a very anxious person, I know that going to the grocery store and seeing that people are just buying out everything, it does give me some anxiety. But you have to remember that the more people that do this, the bigger of a problem it's going to be. So I don't want to sit here and just harass you guys about not hoarding things, but I'm just going to throw that message out there because I think it needs to be said, and I think it needs to be normalized that we can get a sufficient amount of groceries and definitely stock up more than we normally would, but we don't have to hoard things, and we shouldn't be hoarding things because that affects us all, and especially it affects vulnerable populations that might be on food stamps or WIC, or older populations and other people that maybe have to have a specific type of diet for medical reasons. We want to make sure that there's a variety as much as possible of foods for everyone of every different type of need in the diet world. And I don't just mean you keto people out there. I mean like people who have a medical need to eat a certain way, or people that are allergic to gluten, like legitimately allergic to gluten. They need certain foods available to them. So try not to panic, try to think of others when you go into the grocery store, and know that we have food out there in the world. It will come to us, and try to think of it from an abundance mindset, because the more we believe that we have that abundance, the more likely we are to find it in the world. I know that's super woo-woo and super hippy-dippy, but I have found that every time that I have told myself inside that there is plenty of food to go around, there is plenty of money in the world, and money is flowing freely to me, food is easily accessible to me, the more I've said things like that, the more that I am able to find opportunities where food, money, and whatever I'm kind of dreaming up in that moment or manifesting in that moment, whatever I think of, it comes to me more easily when I think that way. So yes, Katie the dietitian is also hippy dippy. I'm sorry. You knew what to expect. I moved to Colorado. Okay, tip number 2 is a little more of a tangible tip, and it's to make sure that you have a relatively consistent pattern to your meals and your snacks. So it doesn't have to be perfect. I know that there are less foods available in certain stores, and so that it's not always going to be perfect. For meals, try to have half of your plate of vegetables and a fourth of your plate protein, and then the last fourth of your plate a carbohydrate. So this kind of follows a balanced pattern of eating, so we're getting the nutrients that we need. It's not that we have to be eating a certain specific diet, but this is the recommended diet from the USDA that helps us get all the nutrients that we need in. So for snacks, my typical rule of thumb is to have a carbohydrate as part of your snack and to have a fat or protein as the other part. So that helps you stay fuller for longer. I know it's a lot more tempting to kind of eat haphazardly and eat a lot of carbohydrates while we're in quarantine, but this is going to help us expand what we have in our kitchen and make sure that we're feeling full with the food that we're eating. So you might say, Katie, I have a limited amount of food. Like, I know the basic guidelines from the USDA, you don't have to repeat them. I know that I'm supposed to balance my foods out, but I only have a limited amount of stuff in my fridge or my pantry. And totally, I get it. I know that we're not gonna have the exact amount of ingredients for everything, but this is your time to get creative. So one thing that I do is I make a list of the produce that I have, fruits and veggies in my fridge and in my pantry, and then I also make a list of the grains that I have, the fats that I have, and then sometimes like the herbs and spices and miscellaneous things might include like hot sauce or salsa or lemon juice, lime juice, stuff like that that I can flavor things with. And then I also make a list of my meats and proteins. This way I can kind of see all my categories of food that I have in my kitchen and combine them on an as needed basis for dinners or for snacks. So I can kind of see it as a big picture. You don't have to do this, but I recommend doing it if you're having trouble combining certain foods so you get the right amount of balance, because this just helps you see it from an objective standpoint and see how many different types of food you have so you can combine them in the right way. My third tip is to be flexible with the recipes that you're using while in quarantine. So I know some people are just sticklers for recipes and they don't like deviating from the recipe because they think they might screw something up. But one quote that I always go back to and tell people is that cooking is an art and baking is a science. So a lot of times, yes, if you mix and match things on baking, you can tend to not get the desired product that you want. But if you are cooking, you can kind of fumble around with things and change things up, and it's really not going to change the ultimate recipe that much. I mean, don't hold me to this. I don't swear by that for every single recipe. Most of the time it does work out overall when I change a thing or two in a recipe, like leaving one small ingredient out or swapping one herb for another. It's really not gonna make a huge difference. Just use what you have and don't feel like you need to go to the store just for an herb or a spice or something simple that you can easily swap out. And my final tip is to not feel like you have to eat perfectly now, and don't feel like you ever have to eat perfectly. That's just not the goal with healthy eating. I know I say that term healthy eating, and I know that it can be misconstrued in the wrong way, maybe in the intuitive eating community. Some people think the word healthy nowadays is kind of, it lays the groundwork for inviting perfectionism. But healthy is just a general term that I use to say that we're nutritionally balanced, we're eating a variety of foods, and we're also eating the foods that we love as well. I think that that's what healthy eating means to me, and so that's what I mean when I say stuff like healthy eating. But don't feel like you have to have a perfect diet during this time or ever, because right now the truth is that we are limited in some of our resources. And yes, our grocery stores are doing an awesome job of restocking things now. I see a lot more improvement this week than I did last week of the stuff that's in the stores, so I don't think we're gonna have to worry about that too much anymore. But the truth is we might be limited for a little bit on certain foods. So if you can't find chicken, or you can't find beef, or specific vegetables or fruits that you want, try a different fruit or vegetable. Try something new that you've never tried before, and just get what you can, and know that you're an imperfect human being, and so is your diet, and that's totally normal. I am a dietitian, and I am telling telling you that it's normal to have a balance of fruits, vegetables, proteins, and also dessert. Priorities are going to shift in your life, and this is one of those times where our priorities shift from having exactly the perfect organic gluten-free diet, whatever it might be, to finding what we can get for us and our family and our significant others, and just hunkering down and getting creative with our meals. So I hope that helped just a little bit. This isn't an exhaustive list of things that you can do during quarantine to stay happy and healthy. So let me know if you're interested in this topic, and I can definitely make a longer list of things, but I didn't want to talk for 100 years. So let me know your favorite tip in the comments below, and also let me know what tips you're using to stay happy and healthy during quarantine. So my boyfriend hates that word, but I feel like it's just like the funnest way to explain what's happening in the world right now, you know? We gotta play a little fun into what's going on in 2020, because like, let's be real, 2020 is basically like a dumpster fire right now. That's the best way I can use to describe it. Do all the fun YouTube things, subscribe, hit the like button, comment, and let me know your tips so you can share it with the community and we can all kind of help each other out, because that's what the Stark Blue community is here for. So I'll see you guys in the next video, and leave different videos that are kind of related to this topic in the description and in the end card. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye guys.